Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about roles. We're going to talk about roles. And we'll talk about Windows again. We're going to talk about the roles we serve. Over the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot of questions from people who make content on various platforms. Here, podcasts, different places. And the questions are all about content or about being somebody who makes content. But they apply to everyone. The questions they're asking, they're kind of universal. They're just framed specific to making content. And I'll probably work my way through all of the questions that have come in, but this one in particular I think is worth addressing now. The person who sent it, their gig, the content that they make, it deals with music, but they try to insert, let's just say, more progressive ideas as they talk about things. And their question: what role do we serve as left-wing content creators? And what can we do to bring forth positive action beyond saying the right are awful? That question, though, what role do we serve as left-wing content creators? What role do we serve as people? And what can we do to bring forth positive action beyond saying the right are awful? It's a more inclusive phrasing that way. We talked recently about the Overton window and how there's an acceptable range of political thought in any given area. We didn't talk about why it exists. In many cases, the edges of the window, they're determined by what people can actually imagine. They're determined by what people think is possible. If you make content, particularly with art of any kind, music, literature, sci-fi, it doesn't matter. Video games, it does not matter. If you're making content related to popular culture in any way, shape, or form, inserting those messages in helping people see and imagine what's outside of the window, that things can be better, that's a pretty important role. For a whole lot of people, this is the way it is. And therefore, this is the way it always has to be. Because the world we inhabit, the system that we live in, it's all around us. And it's self-reinforcing. Helping people imagine something outside of that, imagine something better, imagine a world where everybody gets a fair shake, that kind of thing, advocating for that kind of change, even if it's subtle. That's a role, and it's a role worth pursuing. Everybody has talents, has skills, things that can be used to make the world better. Your particular role, well, you determine that on your own. And it shouldn't be viewed as competition. Like, I know why I get questions like this. And it doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. Those who can help people imagine a better world, those who can help people see that It doesn't have to be this way. Those people are responsible for the people who show up. They help shape that frame of mind that things can be better. And it encourages people to get involved. It's that spear analogy. And then, making positive change beyond just saying the right was awful. Is that how it's phrased? Bring forth positive action beyond saying the right is awful. That's also something that applies to everybody. Your activities, the things you do in your community, around you, online, all of that, it helps. It helps to change the world. When you advocate for something, or when you actually get into the real world and start doing something beyond just subtly talking about something or bringing awareness to something, you're making the world better. You're shifting thought. And on a long enough timeline, that change occurs and we win. It shifts the window. It moves it. That kind of change takes a long time. And it's uncomfortable because there are people who need that change right now, today. But realistically, you have to shift thought. And if you're one of those people who delves into popular culture and provides commentary on it and can help explain, no, this sci-fi show is actually saying that's bad. And you can help people imagine the world that could be, the world that exists outside of that window. It's a worthwhile role. And if you have a community of people like that, people who know that something better exists, you can leverage it to do something small at first, and then it grows. Doing something in your community. And again, it's going to be something different every time. If you're into art, you could literally be an art show that showcases things that help shift thought. That the direct stuff, the funding, the relief work, all of that stuff. That's not the end all. That helps. And many would say it gets the goods, and it helps shift things. And it provides immediate relief for people who are in a bad way. But there will be more people in a bad way the next day if it weren't for the people shifting thought. Just because your preferred medium of changing the world doesn't get the same kind of recognition or cred doesn't mean that it's not a worthwhile role. There are a lot of people who do a lot of good, and they don't always get seen that way. It doesn't come off as them shifting thought. It's just content. But if your goal is to change the conversation and to advocate for something better, to the point where you're sending a message like this, you're putting in good work. It's just the kind that doesn't always get noticed. I would imagine that applies to a whole lot of people watching this channel. Shifting thought. To change society, you have to change the way people think. And it takes time. But it will take longer if those who are good at that role, who can fill that role, are of low morale because they feel like they should be doing something more. Find what you're good at. Use that skill, that talent. Apply that to making the world better. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.